This is a demonstration of my blackjack strategy. Chair position isn't important. The number of players isn't important. I use two different shuffles from separate casinos. The casino I frequent and a shuffle I found on YouTube. Playing with 20 chips. Value of the chips isn't important for this strategy, but the value is $100 per chip. The bankroll is $2,000. The number of chips you have is more important than the chip's value. If I instead had 20 $25 chips, then the bankroll would be just $500 and winnings would be less. Each video will simulate between 1 and 5 players to demonstrate that the strategy isn't dependent upon number of players or chair position. I'm live streaming only audio of the play. See the recorded playlist for full audio and video action. My blackjack strategies are only strategy. Any blackjack strategy except card counting can be defeated by the shuffle bot and or house advantage. I really do consider card counting cheating, and I recommend my strategy so you can just have fun with the ups and downs of the wins and losses. Have fun with blackjack. The bankroll is $2,000. Each chip's worth $100. There's a total of 20 chips. The number of chips is more important than the value of the chips. I will make my first bet of $200, 2 chips. The table maximum is $200, so I can't make my usual 3 chip bet. Superstition will have to go out the window for this demo. There will be 3 players playing. The player has 10. The dealer has a 4. The player has blackjack. The dealer pays the blackjack. Looks like it's gonna be $200 or $200 and $300 actually. There's 1, there's 2, there's $300 for the blackjack. Not a bad way to start off a shoe. The dealer had too much. The player reduces his bet to $100, staying true to the strategy. The player has 10. The dealer has 10. The player has 20. The dealer checks the whole card. The dealer has blackjack. Player loses $100. The dealer just had blackjack, so the player will make $100 or $200 maximum bet. The player has a weak bust card of 3. The dealer has a strong 2. The player has 13. The player has 13. The dealer has a strong 2. The player needs to know if he can hit 12, 13, 14, 15, or 16. And 13 is not a real hard number to hit, so he's going to check it, even though he has the maximum bet out. 18. Player's going at it with 18. The dealer has 7. The dealer has 13. The dealer has too much. The shoe is paying for the player. Player wins $200. Player reduces his minimum bet to $100, staying true to the strategy. Player has a 2. The dealer has a 2. The player has 3 or 13. The player has 3 or 13. The dealer shows a strong 2. The player will just hit to improve his hand. The player has 14 or 4 or 14. The player hits it to improve his hand. Hit it for fun. 20. That was fun. The dealer has 8, 14. Too much. Player wins $100. The shoe has been very good for the player. The player's going to count up his bankroll. There's the $2,000 pay-in, and he has 20 green chips, which gives him $500. He's currently won $500 off the shoe. Player stays true to the strategy, makes a $100 bet. Player has 8, the dealer has 4. The player has 17. The player has 17, the dealer shows a weak bust card of 4. The player is going to stay on 17 and hope the dealer busts. The dealer has 7. The dealer has 18, beating the player. The player loses $100. The player's feeling pretty good about winning every other hand. Makes it the table maximum of $200 bet. The player has 7. The dealer has a 5. The player has 8 or 9. The player has 9, and the dealer shows a strong or a weak bust card of 5. This is definitely a hand the player would want to double and increase his bankroll considerably. Player doubles 9, gets 11, going at 11, hoping the dealer busts. The dealer has 14. The dealer has 19, beating the player out of $400. The player reduces his bet to $100, staying true to the strategy, feeling out the shoe. The player has 7. The dealer has a weak bust card of 3. The player has 10. The dealer still has a weak bust card of 3. player has 10. The dealer shows a weak bust card of 3. This is definitely double for the player again. Player takes 1 card. 14, hoping the dealer busts on 3. The dealer has 11. The dealer has 18. The player loses $200. Player does not like the way the shoe is going. He's going to count up his bankroll and see where he stands. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1,000, 1,001, 1,002, 1,000 or $1,300. Excuse me. The player has $1,300 bankroll plus his winnings, which makes it 1,400, 1,500, 1,600, 1,700, 1,800. The player is down by $200 on his bankroll. Player decides he's going to try to break even and makes a $200 bet. Player has 10. The dealer has a weak bust card of 5. The player has 19. Player has 19. The dealer has a weak bust card of 5. The player cannot improve his hand, so he stays on 19. The dealer has 10. The dealer has 17. The player wins $200 and has his even bankroll. The player decides he will continue to play now that he has not lost any money and the shoe is paying pretty good for him. Player hopes to win 2 in a row, puts out a $200 bet. Player has 10. The dealer has 4. The player has 20. Player has 20. The dealer shows a weak bust card of 4. The player can make a move here and increase his bankroll by splitting the 10s and hoping the 4 busts. Player will take 1 card on each, going at it with 12 and going at it with 14. The dealer has 13. The dealer has 23 too much. The player's bet pays off. Player wins $400. Player makes a $100 bet, staying true to the strategy. Player has 10. Dealer has a weak bust card of 4. The player has 14. The player will stay on 14, hoping the dealer busts on 4. The dealer has been exhausting on 4, 5, and 6. So he stays. The dealer has 9. The dealer has 19, beating the player out of $100. The player has about $1,900 bankroll, $400 profit. And the player is going to make a $200 maximum bet. 3 players are playing. The player has 9, the dealer has an 8. The player has 17. The player cannot increase his hand any, so he stays on 17. The dealer has 19, beating the player out of $200. The player reduces his bet to $100, staying true to the strategy. The player has a weak bust card of 5. The dealer has a 10. The player has 15. The dealer checks the whole card for blackjack, nobody home. The player has 15. The dealer shows a strong 10. The player needs to know if he can hit 12, 13, 14, 15, or 16 for the shoe. 15 is pretty difficult to hit, however, the player is going to try to improve it. Against the 10, he's got no choice. Player has 25 too much, loses $100. The dealer has 20. Losing pretty much any way you looked at it. The shoe's been pretty good to the player, so he's willing to gamble and put $200 out. The player has a weak bust card of 5. The dealer has 8. The player has 7. Player has 7, the dealer has 8. The player will try to improve his hand and beat 18. The player has 17. The player makes an unorthodox move and hits it to break 17. The player has 19. He got a 3. So 17 was hittable for once. The player has, or the dealer has 11. The dealer has 21, beating the player out of $200. The player makes a $200 bet, thinking the shoe may still be in his favor as it was before. The player has a 3, a weak bust card of 3. The dealer has a 10. The player has 13. The dealer checks the whole card for blackjack, nobody home. Player is hitting 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 for the shoe, so he will hit 13 to try to improve his hand. 13 is not too difficult to hit, so what do we get? 23. The player loses. $200. The player knows the shoe is not in his favor any longer, and it's a weak paying shoe for him. He will reduce his bet to $100 and make some unorthodox moves in an attempt to fix the shoe. However, shoes usually can't be fixed, so we'll see if he's successful or not. Player has a weak bus card of 4. The dealer has a weak bus card of 5. The player has 11. The player has 11. The dealer shows a weak bus card of 5. Of course, the player is going to double his bet and try and get 21 here. 21. The dealer has 10. The dealer has 17. The player wins $200. He did not have to make any unorthodox moves that time because he's a winner. However, he's not confident the shoe is in his favor, so he can continue to make some unorthodox moves and bets $100, staying true to the strategy. The player has a weak bus card of 3. The dealer has a weak bus card of 3. The player has 4-14. The player has 4-14. The dealer shows a weak bus card of 3. The player would double this hand, hoping the dealer busts and hoping he can also improve his 4-14. The player has 13. He's going at 13, hoping the dealer busts. The dealer has 13. The dealer has 23. The player wins $200. The player feels the shoe has moved back into his favor, makes a $200 bet, and is going to try to break even and then leave the shoe because he's not confident he can make money on this shoe. The player has a weak bus card of 5. The dealer has a weak bus card of 3. The player has 9. The player has 9, and the dealer shows a weak bus card of 3, so of course the player is going to double 9 and hope the dealer busts. The player has 12. The dealer has 11. The dealer has 21, beating the player out of $400. The player feels the shoe is not in his favor. However, it's not so bad that he needs to make unorthodox moves to try to fix the shoe. It's really a shoe that he hopes to break even on. Makes a $100 bet, staying true to the strategy. The player has a weak bus card of 4. The dealer has an ace. The player has 13. Insurance open. Insurance closed. The dealer checks the hole card. Nobody home. The dealer has 13, or the player has 13, and the dealer shows a strong ace. The player will hit 13 and attempt to improve it. The player has too much, loses $100. The dealer has 18. Player makes a $100 bet. Just trying to break even if he can. The player has a 9. The dealer has a 7. The player has 11. The player has 11 and the dealer shows a pretty weak 7, so the player is going to double his $100 bet to $200, take one card. Gets 14. Hopes for some reason the dealer busts. The dealer, however, has 17, beating the player out of $200. The player's bankroll is dwindling. He really, at this point, has no choice but to make $200 bets, hoping to dig out of the hole that he's created. It's not looking good for the player. The player has a 9. The dealer has a weak bust card of 4. The player has 17. The player hopes the dealer busts and stays on 17. The dealer has 14. The dealer has 24, too much. Player wins $200. Player leaves his $200 bet out there, table maximum, hoping to win 2 in a row. The player has 10, the dealer shows an ace. The player has 12. Insurance open, insurance closed, dealer checks the hole card, nobody home. The player has 12. The dealer shows a strong ace. The player is hitting 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 for the shoes, so he will try to improve his hand. Hit it for fun. 15. Player hits it again for fun. Too much, losing $200. The dealer had 19. Player makes a $200 bet. The player has 10. The dealer has 10. The player has 19. The dealer checks the hole card for blackjack. Nobody home. The player has 19. The dealer shows a 10. The player cannot improve his hand. He stays on 19. The dealer has 20, beating the player out of $200. Right now, the player's bankroll is so low, he cannot hope to dig out of the hole, and so he's going to go home with a loss. He counts up his bankroll to see how much exactly he's lost. He has 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000, 1,100. So right now the player's going home with a loss of $900. However, he still has some bankroll to come back and play another shoe the next day or next week, whatever he chooses.